Our pilot is Bill Leff. That's L-E-F-F. He is from the birthplace of aviation. Now we're going to give you a little bit of living history about training in World War II. It came in three facets that Bill did the point roll on takeoff. First, in World War II, to train the 186,000 crew members, you first had to train a man how to fly an airplane. You had to solo him. That was done in a PT airplane, a primary trainer. Now once he soloed, you got him into a more complex airplane, a little more things to move around, and that was the BT, or basic trainer. And before he released him into his bomber, or transport, or fighter, the Allied nations put him in this airplane. It is the North American AT, or Advanced Trainer 6. Built by the North American Aviation Company, the same one that built the B-51 Red Tail aircraft. And so the cockpit of this airplane, as a trainer, was much like the bomber and the fighter. And the controls on the airplane, it had flaps, it had retractable landing gear like a fighter, it had a big 600 horsepower engine, it had the control and the feels of a fighter, it had torque, it had a controllable pitch prop. And even it was built so that you could use it as not only a trainer, but in some of the smaller countries like the banana republics, they actually use this as a trainer at peacetime and as a light fighter attack aircraft during wartime. 15,000 plus of these aircraft were built. First one came off the assembly line in 1938. The last one came off the assembly line in 1945. And that means every one of these airplanes are either 66 to 73 years old. Now, Bill Leff, as a kid, lived in the same neighborhood as the Wright brothers where they grew up. He was influenced in Dayton, Ohio, a big aviation town, by what the Wright brothers had accomplished, by what was going on out at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and a great group of barnstormers from the Moraine Air Park in Dayton, Ohio. When other kids were spending their money on candy and toys, this man, with his paper route, was saving every dime for flying lessons, and man, did it pay off. He also lit up the nighttime sky last night. Now this is a 5,000-pound airplane. It is no docile little dog. It makes the airplane do a little dance around. Now when the Air Force was born, they dropped the A portion of the AT, the Advanced Trainer, and they merely designated this the T-6. They called it the Texan because many of them were built in Dallas, Texas. The Navy had the same type of airplane that Bill is flying. They called it the SNJ. Different designation for the same airplane as Bill rolls the aircraft around. The Canadians and British used the airplane to train their pilots. They called it the Harvard, named after that learning institution since it was an instructional aircraft, since it was a trainer. Rolling this older aircraft around at its weight is not easy. And there will be times when Bill Leff will have to move the control stick with both hands and jam out those rudder pedals as he does the hesitation. I'll tell you a great story about Bill Leff. He's been doing this for over 35 years. He was inspired as a kid. During the week, he has a long career as a corporate pilot, flying those executive jets around the world. He has been an airline flight instructor. He has been an airline pilot. He has been an air show pilot for 35 years. And he has a twin-engine airplane based outside of Dayton, Ohio, that they fill up with test gear, and he does actual in-flight testing for the companies that provide equipment for the military that are based around Dayton. They go up and build twin-engine airplanes. They're subject to heat, vibration, or cold and altitude to see if they can withstand that type of punishment, because they will eventually be put in transport or fighter aircraft. You'll have to Now, I want to tell you a great story about Bill Leff as he dances this aging gal around, this heavy aircraft. The high energy turn. You'll hear that if you can't turn tight, you can't fight in a dogfight. Bill Leff aircraft up on the wing in air racing style. And by the way, these aircraft are raced. out at the Reno National Championship Air Race in September, Reno, Nevada. There is a class of racing for these type of aircraft exclusively. The T-6 SNJ and Harvard aircraft, 6 or 8 races at 50 feet above the ground, go around a 4-mile course and try to see which one will be across the start-finish pylon and get the checker flag first. Their speeds are somehow getting up to 230 miles an hour in an airplane that was never meant to go quite that fast. But here's the story I want to tell you about Bill Leff, the man right here. A couple of years ago, there was a show in Illinois. And right after that show, we were all going up to the big show at the EAA convention in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Bill was going to be one of the featured performers. He left the show in Illinois and was ferrying up to Oshkosh. He got to a town about 20 miles south of Oshkosh called Fond du Lac. They have an airport there. It's over highway. Goes from the Milwaukee area up to Oshkosh. And his engine did a little burst, just like it did there, as he put the gear down while he was upside down. Well, that got his attention. He looked at the instruments, and about 2 seconds later, the engine froze. It quit. The prop stopped. Now you've got a very inefficient glider. He looked at the Fond du Lac airport. He knows this airplane well. He knew that he couldn't glide to the Fond du Lac airport. And if you land short, you're going to crash. So what did he have below him? 4 lanes of divided highway. That's the longest airstrip in the world. So, what can you do? You've got to land the airplane. It's coming down. So he saw a spot where traffic was sparse, and he was going to put it down on a northbound dual lane. Everything was looking good. The engine was stopped. It was quiet. He had clear shot in front of him. Now he's going to hang it by the prop at a mere 60 knots of speed, just above where the wings will no longer support the airplane, and the airplane stalls. No, the airplane doesn't stall because the engine is shut off. It stalls because the wings cannot supply lift, and the engine and airplane falls through the force of gravity. You can stall the airplane at 100% power. Okay, let's get back to the highway. Now, everything was looking good. As Bill looked out the right side, here comes a police car off of the on-ramp, heading to the same highway. The police car, of course, is not looking up. It doesn't see Bill, so the officer got onto Highway 41 northbound and blocked Bill's view. Well, Bill was going faster than the policeman. Without the engine, he hopped the airplane, glided over the top of the police car, and landed in front of the police car, which of course had the camera going. Well, that policeman was quite indignant. He was not a happy camper. So he got out of his police car and issued a few deletus, completed deletus, as Bill does the inverted pass, hanging upside down. And he said to Bill, with a few words we can't repeat here, what in the do you think you're doing? And Bill said, at a forced landing. He said, officer, before you get too excited, come over here to the front of my airplane. He said, officer, take that propeller and move it for me, would you? So the officer grabbed that prop. He was going to move it. He said, I can't. It's frozen. Bill said, would you put that in your report? Because sure enough, there will be some empty suit that will claim that I ran out of fuel. I got plenty of fuel. My engine stopped. So there they were. Didn't get undamaged. Bill's right wing hit one of those directional signs that are anchored in the ground off the side of the highway by a 4x4. The right wing took damage. They closed the highways. They took the airplane over to the Fond du Lac airport. They tore down the fence that leads to the airport. They towed Bill across the fence area. They put the fence back up. And 2 weeks later, he had a new wing and was flying air show. So for that adventure, give Bill Leff a big round of applause as he demonstrates the World War II T-6 Texan. A great aircraft, used, by the way, by many air show and air racing pilots, and used by one of our award-winning formation teams as their primary display airplane. You will see that this had a tandem cockpit, as did many. We're going to take you back photo pass, showing you the gleaming paint job on the wings as what little sun we have is reflecting on that mirror finish. You can actually go up to that wing and comb your hair as Bill does the victory roll off your left wing. As I mentioned to you, he's currently involved in doing test work with that twin-engine cabin airplane that he has in and around Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and also involved with flying corporate aircraft. Before, during, and after World War II, no less than 50 of our allied nations used this aircraft as a trainer around the world. And after our inventory, it was quickly acquired by smaller countries around the world as a frontline trainer, and then converted with a light bomb load that was engineered with hard points underneath the wings to double as a light bomber and a light attack aircraft, and machine gun was put on the aircraft as well. So now you saw the last airplane. The last airplane the pilot would get into before they got into their bomber, their transport aircraft, their glider, or the fighter. Bill Leff. The rumble of that engine that you hear is a round or radial engine, as they're called, and they were air-cooled much like the engine on your lawnmower. They had fins on the cylinders, and it was the air that cooled the engine rather than cooling fluid as on the P-51 that you saw earlier.